There we go. Let's talk about health and let's talk about longevity and let's talk about time and energy management. I'm going to start by reading out some names because I need to get these names properly first. I need to get these names as they are, rather. What I'm referring to rather, is a British soap opera show. No, I haven't watched it. No, I don't intend to watch it either. But there are a couple of important points and facets here that I want to go through. So the TV show in question is EastEnders, where there are a couple of fictional characters that I want to go through. Now, it doesn't matter so much the name of the character. I'm just going to read them just to give credit to the actual television show and to the actors, and we'll take it from there. So, like I said, EastEnders, and there are two fictional characters I want to address here. One is Jim Branning and his son John Branning. Never mind Jim Branning is played by John Barden, and Scott Maslin is playing John Branning. I got this confused. Let's do it again. John Barden is playing the father, Jim Branning. Scott Maslin is playing the son, John Branning. There we go. So, never mind the actors' names. I'm sure they're great actors, whatever. Now I've given them their due props. And I don't know who produced EastEnders. It surely wasn't me. Go watch it if you like. I don't really care. I think it aired on BBC. I don't really know. Anyway, so let's talk about Jim Branning and John Branning. Jim is the father. John is the son. There's a scene, because I saw a meme. Of these two characters. The characters John Branning and Jim Branning. Jim Branning, the father, and John Branning, the son. The meme consisted of two photos. The top photo was Jim Branning, the father, being depicted in 1996 in a scene. Because this show has been running for ages, obviously. And then on the bottom of the meme, there was a photo of John Branning, the son, from 2025, last year. Jim Branning, or the actor who played Jim Branning in 1996, was 56 years old. The actor who played John Branning in 2025 was 54. So they're roughly the same age. But yet the difference in their looks and appearance is staggering. I'm just going to refer to them by their by their fictional characters' names. Hold on, let me just get a sip of water here. This large water bottle here of glass. Jim Branning, the father, looks way older at age 56 than his son, John Branning, does at age 54. It's not even a question. In fact, John Branning, who's depicted at age 54, I thought it was in his 40s. I thought he was like 42, 43, maybe 45. Surely didn't think he was 54 because he looked way younger. He had like this chiseled jawline, defined neck muscles. He looked good. You could see that he had some color, although that might have been special effects, because way back in the day in 1996, you didn't have as good a resolution of your photos as you do now in 2020, or now in 2026, but also last year in 2025, admittedly. But still, you can even see it in his facial color. His facial color wasn't as pale as that of his fictional character's father way back in 1996. His hairline was much more defined. He had all of his hair. The guy who played his father had lost most of his hair at virtually the same age, and the guy who played his father in 1996, when he was 56 years old, looked like he very well could be 76 years old or more, literally. So the father looked older than what he was. The son looked way younger than what he was. Think about that. And it is that I want to address, because here and there is some of the stuff that I teach, namely time and energy and stress. I'm going to use myself as an example, really, because I don't look particularly young for my age, I think, but I surely don't look particularly old for my age either. I don't think I look like I'm 50. Maybe if there are some guys who want to troll me and they're telling me, hey, you look old, dude, you look like you're 50, then that's cool. I don't get that. When I ask strangers for my age, most of them are guessing 35, 36. I'm actually 40. Now, if they're doing that to be nice, I don't really know. But I'm telling you this. When I did the same exercise roughly 10 years ago, when I was 30, 31, and I was fat as a balloon, I was a fat fuck, I would ask the same question, and they would think that I was way older than what I was. Now, it's difficult to say how I would have looked like if I hadn't been able to course correct when I had the chance. But here is something that certainly would have happened to me, especially with respect to time and energy, which is what we are talking about here. I would probably have developed type 2 diabetes. I would have had high blood pressure, maybe some clogged arteries because of all the insulin resistance, or insulin response rather, probably also the insulin resistance, and maybe some heart and liver diseases that I didn't know about. And I would have been morbidly obese. I was on my way to being morbidly obese back then. And I think, would have looked way older at age 40 than what I am now, because I course corrected some 10 years ago, I think. Now, this is actually interesting because this brings me back to my own personal youth and adolescence. When I was in high school, between 2001 and 2004, more than 20 years ago, 25 plus years ago, or not 25 plus, but 20 to 25 years ago, roughly. That's actually crazy now that I think about it. It's half a century ago. No, excuse me, not half a century, but a quarter of a century ago. That's pretty crazy. A quarter of a century ago, I was a high school student. Nobody ever worked out or trained. None of the kids or the students at school were obsessed with training, health, fasting, putting on muscle, diet, all that kind of stuff. Nobody. Yeah, there was maybe the odd exception. Maybe one or two guys would train and work out regularly, but those were the exception. And people would sort of like look, well, they wouldn't look at them like they were crazy. But I'm telling you this, it was certainly not the norm. I certainly didn't do it. I was lazy. I ate junk food. I watched television. I played video games. I did all of the crap that I shouldn't have been doing. Now, granted, there were no authority voices way back then who were as accessible as they are today. There were no Joe Rogan, no Mr. Beast. Well, I haven't even watched Mr. Beast, so I don't know what he does. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, well, whatever kind of celebrity you are consuming, there were nobody. Nobody were there to tell us that, look, you need to eat healthy. You need to eat clean. So, and this is my point. If I had started way back then at age 15, 16 to course correct, and let's say I would have cleaned up my diet, I would have started to eating whole food based diets. I would have gone regularly to the gym. I would have gotten good sleep. I wouldn't have boozed as much, although I didn't booze as much as I could have, fortunately. But if I cut back on that as well, that probably would have helped me. And of course, I should have started an online business. But I mean, there were no infrastructure way back then to start an online business. I didn't even know anything about starting a business or making money or any such a thing. There were no social media even way back then. Or actually, now that I think about it, I think maybe MySpace was a thing. Maybe, but MySpace was just weird. Then Facebook came and sort of like killed everything and whatever, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. But that's beside the point. The point is here, and this is very, very important, that if I'd started at a ripe young age, like the kids are doing now, because nowadays I see these kids who are 13, 14, they're talking about keto, dieting, fasting, putting on muscle, whole foods-based diets, getting enough sleep and so on. They're going to be killers when they're my age, fortunately. And hopefully, they're going to age in reverse. Hopefully. I mean, nobody's going to age in reverse, but you get the idea, right? It's going to feel like time is slowing down. And that's what I wish that that's sort of like one of my regrets. Because deep down when I was a kid, when I was a youth, when I was an adolescent, I sort of like always knew that I should be training hard, I should be eating healthy, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, but I didn't have any authority voice to tell me so. I didn't have any example to look up to. Well, whatever, I'm not going to make excuses. Anyway, if I'd course corrected that early, maybe I would have looked even younger today. Maybe, who knows? And that's my point here. Because if you manage to course correct in your life with respect to time and energy, well, then maybe you can prevent yourself from looking like, I forgot it. I already forgot the cat's name. Let's go over again and see. Jim Branning. Yes, Jim Branning. If you course correct in life early, then maybe you can become a John Branning, the son, instead of a Jim Branning, the father, who probably consumed a lot of alcohol, smoked a lot, boozed a lot is the same as smoking, consuming a lot of alcohol, probably didn't have the cleanest diet, probably didn't work out, probably didn't get enough sleep, etc., 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 and probably was surrounded by a lot of stress. Because stress is going to wear you down. Stress is going to kill you. And stress is a major, major time and energy vampire. A TEV. I'm not joking around. Imagine this. Imagine you're busy, you're working a career. You're surrounded by so many things. You're surrounded by so many items in your life. You're working this career, you don't get enough sleep, you have a large family to take care of, you have, obviously, you have family commitments, you have other community commitments as well, but you're in poor shape, you don't get enough sleep, you eat processed junk foods all the time, you don't have time to work out or train, you're just getting sucked, drained, slowly of your time and energy. That's not a life. That's horrible. And that's how I think a lot of people live. And that's how you should stop living. Which is why this photo of Jim and John Branning is so important. Or this meme of Jim and John Branning is so important. Don't be like the father, be like the son. Course correct in due time and eliminate all of the distractions and be ruthless about it. Cut out the people who who prevent you from doing so. I'm serious. Do it. And yeah, that'll be that. If you like what I have to say and if you want to learn more about time and energy vampires and how to avoid being entangled by them, then consider opting into my email list. The link to do so is below the episode description, or the link is in the episode description of the bio, wherever you are watching and or listening to this. And I will see you there. Bye-bye now.